Non-Identity Podcast.
Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, whatever time you're watching or listening to this, and welcome to this week's episode of the Non-Identity Podcast. Now, this week we're joined by a fellow podcaster, presenter, and media person from the OReilly show. It's Kyle. Hi, Kyle. Welcome to the show.
Afternoon. How are we doing? You okay? Thank you for having me.
Before we get into the OReilly show itself, can you just explain to people who you are and where you grew up and stuff?
Yeah, so my name's Kyle. Surname's a giveaway, OReilly. Originally born and raised from Manchester, even though I've travelled the world a bit through holiday repping and just a passion for travelling. But I've just found myself always leaning towards the mental health subjects in terms of workshops. I do a lot off the apps as well for charity, and I'm a charitable individual. I've been like that since I was knee-high, basically. Coming into latter years and obviously being adult and going through certain situations in life, just finding that the healthcare system failed me personally, being told to wait 16 months for counselling or to go and see someone who could help. And I just found that a lot of community projects were available but not really exposed. And yeah, we're talking, let's say 7 years ago, this journey started for me. Do a lot of radio community projects, and you know, of recent I've been going to men's open circles. One of my friends runs one of them, and just really understanding myself and, you know, being a voice of wisdom. And, you know, we're all going through our battles, and I've took to TikTok again recently. I was on here last year and I came off. I just found it was taking up my whole day, really. But at the same time, what better place to be than these apps? You know, these apps. You've got TikTok now, YouTube. Everyone's on there. Everyone's online. So I'm just trying to be a positive voice and waking people up. It's been positive so far, but we are just starting. So, you know, I'm really grateful for coming onto the show, and there'll be many more shows I'll be making appearances on, because we need to start uniting. You know, the last couple of years due to COVID, it's just completely roundhoused everybody. And I just think society on a whole is such a negative, dense frequency that just seems to be set in stone, whether it's someone on the phone, customer service, you know, the local shop you nip into. We're all going through stuff. And yet people are, I think, more embarrassed than ever before to talk about it. When these platforms, there's people like myself, there's other influencers, I suppose, and other motivators that are just basically saying it's okay not to be okay. So it's brought me to this now. And, you know, like I say, I'm just getting stuck in with the social media side of things, and we're going nowhere. And hopefully we can grow as a collective. Yeah.
And what was the main reason for you to start the journey? Because you said, obviously, there were some struggles and all that. You like to talk about that?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I've always been into my Stoicism in terms of teachings like Greek Stoicism, and looking for influences, people looking for a glimpse of positivity in a world that I felt at the time was just surrounded with negativity. One of the first people that really I resonated with and giving me an uplift was Les Brown. He's an old school preacher. He come up through the Christian church. He was a bit of a gospel preacher, but his messages were very powerful, and they just sat with me instantly. And I just thought to myself, how would I know about this chap? Only for YouTube is where I discovered him. So it kind of like got the alarm bells ringing in my head, and I thought to myself, you know, not trying to replicate anybody. I am my own person, but we are all influenced by certain people. If I can put my own story into this and influence people, just like he influenced me, then, you know, we're just adding towards positive frequency. So, yeah, like I say, it's that kind of motivated me to jump on TikTok and YouTube. And like I said, I've only been on TikTok for a few weeks, and, you know, we're just growing slowly but surely.
Brilliant. What is the main goal? Is it to not be an influencer, but is it to share the positivity online, or is it to be able to go out and meet people in the community? Is it a mixture of both? What's the main aim for you?
100% both. I mean, like I said, I do more work off the app than I do on the app. But for me, I just think, not to go into it too much, because, you know, I suppose there's only one version of the truth, and there's a million versions of lies that have all been dressed up. Now, I do believe like media is a great channel for us to access. It's easily accessible, but ultimately the content is controlled by the powers that be. And I just feel as though when you look at the music scene, the music that they put out, you've got young kids now, you know, with knife crime and things like this. A lot of media, because it's so powerful and we carry it around with us in our pocket, being our smartphones, I think there's a lot of negativity going around. And, you know, even on your best day, your best message won't get out to people like you want it to, because it's controlled by the powers that be. But yeah, for me, my message really is just to increase frequency. You know, I think I'm speaking on behalf of men, obviously being a man myself, but ultimately that message crosses over to the women as well. Whether it's a woman that's been in a domestic relationship, you know, it could be a single mother struggling, someone who's just got no confidence within themselves. I mean, I'm a living example, you know. A lot of people who speak to me like, you're very confident, and I am confident, but that's come from not being confident and really and truly just putting your two fingers up to the world and saying that, you know, I respect society, I respect X, Y, Z, but ultimately people are more bothered about what other people think about them, especially strangers through apps, than they are about themselves. And yeah, so it's my mission really is to get people to say, you know what, F what everybody else is saying. You know, end of the day, you're out here on your own. We all got friends and families, but ultimately, in my opinion, in my darkest moments, no one was there for me. Even though I know I can lean out to people and reach out to people, I found that I've fought my biggest battles on my own. And I know people have messaged me on TikTok and you know, being grateful for the videos. They're only short videos, and that just gives me the, you know, the fuel to carry on basically. But yeah, of course, community projects, we do a lot of them. If anyone's watching and they're interested, you know, there is opportunities to get in touch and come down if you're in the Manchester area. But I will be doing a bit of a road show in a few months. I think it's a bit hot now to be walking around anywhere really, even with shorts and t-shirt on. But no, it's just, I think we've all got a story, mate. We have all got a story, and no one's story is worse than anybody else's. It's how you deal with it. And if I can just be that little bit of happiness and that little bit of comfort through a little funny video or a motivational video, then that's my job done basically. So I don't have an end goal. I mean, I could see where this journey is going to take me, and it's not going to happen overnight. But I do want to become a positive figure in my local community and then spread that nationwide and worldwide, of course, yeah.
Yeah, so like about a month ago, I've started volunteering for a group on Facebook. It's called A Safe Space Between Us. And somewhere up there, you'll see the logo because they're in association with this podcast.
Okay.
And
nice.
over the last 8 weeks, we've signposted over 250 people worldwide who've needed help with their mental health support. And then we have guests come on podcasts all the time to share their inspirational stories. So your message, I think, so our message with that safe space is about giving people a space, a non-judgmental space to speak, but also trying to break the stigma, break the silence around mental health. And exactly. Your mission of it, it's okay to not be okay. Yeah. And as you said, get yourself out on a frequency, I think it's very needed worldwide because, like you said, it seems really weird. It seemed like we went through a time where we started to accept mental health, then COVID hit, and that's gone the other way again. The stigma's back, it's the embarrassment back. And like you said, to be a male as well, it's all that man up stuff again, and it's like, where's that come from again?
Exactly. No, 100% agree with you. And I think as well what COVID has done, obviously we've not asked for it, you know, but I'm a bit of an anarchist in my own opinion towards life. I'm a bit of a rebel when it comes down to government and stuff like that. And I'm very sensitive with what I touch on with these social media platforms, because like I said before, they control the messages. It's all AI and algorithm. But ultimately, COVID has basically pushed people. It was home arrest, in my opinion. It was home arrest. Now, I'm not denying anything about does it have legs. Of course, we're not here to talk about COVID, but on the mental side of things, people have become so accustomed to becoming isolated. Something that was originally forced upon them, they've become comfortable with it. And then once the gates were open, go on, you can go back out now and have your own freedom back. People were like, oh, this is like unfamiliar territory. And it's like, you know, you ask somebody for the time, it's like, you know, people don't even want to stop here. So we can't blame people, but what we can do is we can waken people up now. Touching on frequency, not only has the media got a big part involved in this, I believe, you know, the food that we eat as well. I'm vegan myself, you know, I'm a massive vegan activist, something that I've not really brought to the O'Reilly show as of yet. But I'm very proud of that. And there's loads of activists that I work with. And I'm very cautious of what people around, what music I'm listening to, obviously what I'm eating, because the chemicals in food and obviously the moral side of things, that's for another show, this is all adding towards negativity. A lot of people out here, each to their own, who's been vaccinated. I don't judge anybody. Myself personally, I haven't, and I'm glad I haven't. I've lost friends used to it who were fit and healthy. It was only 2 weeks ago I buried my friend, and he was a fit and healthy lad, you know. And there was other factors behind it, and it was stress related that triggered it. He had an epileptic fit, and he just didn't recover from it. But his mind wasn't in the right place, and that his death just really made me think. We've all been to funerals, and they're not a nice thing to go to. But that kind of woke me up, and being around toxic people, I've been in relationships with people that were just simply taking advantage of me. And because I've got a loving, selfless nature, I just see it's like, oh, I deserve this and this, that, the other. But there's been a few instances and situations that have happened, both on a spiritual level and in this experience, that have really woken me up the last, say, 2-3 months. And I'm just so grateful because it's blessings. I do count them as blessings. Now, I was lost a few months ago while being with somebody, trying to make them happy at the cost of my own happiness. And I was angry towards them. I felt like I was owed something. And then one day, I just thought to myself, you know what? Love and blessings. Because there's enough negativity out here from outside factors, whether it's the radiation, whatever it is, what you're eating, and I want to be a positive role model. So I just thought, let go of what you can't control and be happy what you can control, because I think we do take life for granted. We do, my friend. We all do. I do. And I'm doing a lot of off the apps. I'm doing a lot of research. I've signed myself up for a few courses in terms of psychology. I want to understand myself better and just basically be, like you said there before on the Facebook, fantastic, that 250 people. I want to be a safe place where people can come, whether it's TikTok, podcasts, community projects. And, I can't do it on my own. I'm not trying to be the next Gandhi, So I really do appreciate opportunities like this, and you telling me your story before the start. It really does mean a lot, because we're all going through battles, but people just find it easy to, I'll just go home and I'll put a bit of TV on. I personally feel keeping it inside, whether it's emotional stress, whether it's work, whatever it is, relationships, friendships, the more you keep it inside, it becomes part of you and it destroys you in the end, and it just we need to come together and just talk.
No, exactly. I totally agree with that. So I've said this on the show before. So obviously with what was going on with my wife, I was having counselling over the telephone, and he kept saying to me, live in the moment. And I kept saying to him, but the moment's shit. So why do I want to live in it? And he knows what I mean by that. He said, you can't get back yesterday and you don't know what's coming forward. So just allow yourself today. And it took me about 3 or 4 months, and then it finally clicked. And then what I do now, what helps me for each day is I go to bed about 10:30ish, and good or bad day, that day's done. When I wake up the next morning, it's a fresh day. So I could go to bed feeling angry because I've had a crappy day. But when I wake up in the morning, I'm fresh again because I've just got to get through the next hour, the next hour, the next hour, then the day's done. Yeah. Because you made a good point as well. Even your best days, you can't get back. So you could have the best day of your life last week on a beach, and then think to yourself, I really wish, like the holiday blues, I really wish I was back on that beach. Even if you went back to that beach today, it would be a different experience because the weather might be a bit different, or you might be feeling a bit more tired, or you might have more money on you. So you're not going to get that moment back. So don't worry about it. Don't dwell on it. Don't think I want it back. So good or bad, don't live in the past, like you were saying. And again, as we all just said, we can't control the future. So therefore, and that was the best bit of advice I got. And it was really strange because I'm a trained counsellor.
Okay.
And I could understand what I was going through, but they always say, like, you can't counsel yourself and you can't treat yourself if you're a doctor. I couldn't get myself out of the funk, so I still needed that support. And I was one of those people as well that I don't need counselling. It doesn't work for me. Yeah, it works for others, and I've helped counsel people. So I know it works for others, but it wouldn't work for me, so I didn't need it. I got to a point where I needed to reach out. And then when he started speaking to me, as I said, I was rebelling for ended up having 23 sessions. And for the first 9, I'd say I kept rebelling, and it was like a light bulb moment. Something just clicked in my head. It was about lowering the expectations of myself and just living in the moment.
I was the same. I did some just some normal counselling, and it was once a week for an hour, and it was the best hour of my week. But hang on a minute, it's 24 hours in a day, and then you're left with it on your own, and and then the second and third session, it was getting worse. And I'm like, well, I'm feeling better when I'm talking to you, but I'm more agitated now, and it's. There's loads of techniques that I'm looking into. I'm so blessed with the friends that I've got around me because we've all been through journeys, and I've got certain friends that I'm all focused on self-improvement, and others, they do a lot of self-healing in terms of meditation and certain practices, and the power of breath work is just massively overlooked. 80% of people don't even know how to breathe properly. Honestly, it's an alarming figure, but it's the truth. And like you said there before about going back to a situation, I can 100% agree with you, because I've been in situations where you've enjoyed the moment, and then if only I could go back to then. But like you say, it won't be the same. And I've got a little saying that I've had for years, and it's one that I made up myself, and it goes, life is nothing but an eternity of right nows. And right now, everything is okay, And I don't do it. Even now, you can ask my friends, I'm 100 miles an hour when I'm at working, and it's sometimes my friends say to me, how do you do what you do in one day? And I'm like, because it's all I know. I can't be just settled and at peace. And again, the last couple of months, it's something that I've really focused on, and I feel so alienated, because it's almost like I'm rebelling against my old version of me, because we're not perfect. And, there is certain things on my internal belief systems and my mentality. I need to really calm it down. And, I'm working on myself, and I'm looking forward to the journey. I feel so much more at peace. Peace is one thing, and I'm sure you can relate with this. I've always overlooked it. Peace is what old people have when they're sat in bed drinking Horlicks and eating rich tea biscuits. But for me, peace is just something that has really overwhelmed me the last couple of months. But it's just given me so much calmness. It's allowed me to let go of certain attachments to people, people that have come in my life, friendships, relationships, and yeah, I just feel like I'm on the right path with it, and them techniques I'm willing to share them with anyone. Whoever's going to be watching this, when they play it back, tell them to get in touch. I'm not saying it's right for everyone, but it can work for me. I'm very intense. I'm a lot more calmer these days, but moving forward, I do think we need to be sharing knowledge with each other, and that's a big part of my drive and what I'm doing on here as well.
Like you said, we're all not perfect and stuff, but daily now you're trying to push out positive messages. But what happens when you wake up in the morning? You're not having a very good day yourself. How do you self-care to get yourself through the day? Yeah.
Well, I come from an Irish Catholic background. Now, religion is something that I've questioned in latter years due to my understanding and things like that. But regardless if you're religious or not, having a faith or a belief system, whether you're Buddhist, you could be atheist, you could believe in aliens, you could believe in whatever you believe in. If it gives you a sense of peace and meaning, how I deal with it personally, and I do. That question there, I have that moment every day, several times a day. I really do. And I can look back, and sometimes recently I say to myself, you're ungrateful, you're spoiled, you've got nothing to complain about, and there you are complaining. Then I say to myself, well, what is that I'm complaining about? And it's not that, it's just, I do believe it's just the speckles of the old programs kicking in. Is it demons? Whatever it is that I'm dealing with. In the moments there when I do feel utterly at my lowest, I just throw my phone down, smoke a cigarette, whatever it is, have a glass of water. I literally close my eyes and I take deep breaths. 4 seconds in through the nose, hold for 1 second, and out through the stomach for 5 seconds. I learned that at a yoga class a couple of weeks ago. And you'd repeat that for 5 minutes, 10 minutes, however long you need. You get a bit lightheaded, but in a relaxing sense. And you're back in the room. And literally, before you did them little exercises that anyone can do, as long as you've got a nose on your head, and it works. It works. But it might not work for other people. I always say to people, go out for a walk. Whether it's raining or it's sunny, it doesn't matter. You've got a jacket if it's raining, you've got a t-shirt if it's hot. Go out for a walk. But what we do is, everyone's got different coping mechanisms, and some are more extreme than others. Some people turn to intoxication. Some people just sleep it off. Some people eat in comfort. I've experienced all of them things, and all you're doing is just putting it under the carpet for it to come back 10 times worse. So, yeah, me personally, a bit of meditation and just literally switch off. I could be sat in the car, I'll close my eyes, and it's important. But what works for me might not work for everybody else. But I do believe I'm no special than anybody else, so why just give it a go at least? But yeah, that's one of the ways that I deal with things, yeah.
Oh, brilliant. So if people want to find you, where can they find you?
So I'm on TikTok, as we met on TikTok, yeah, the OReilly Show. And you can also get me on YouTube, the same, the OReilly Show, all one word. And that's about it for now at the moment. Like I say, I'm focused on the YouTube and the TikTok. But yeah, if anybody wants to reach out.
Coming near to the end, but I've just got one last question, and this is a question I ask each and every guest. Your answer will not change your life journey so far, but if you had 30 seconds with your 13-year-old self, what would you say?
I'd say Don't be so quick to grow up. No, I'd change a lot of things. I'd cut out a lot of people a lot earlier. I probably would have saved more money, you know. It's interesting that you've asked that, because I've actually gone into the inner child work, and I've said, you know, don't grow up too quick. Enjoy the moment, like you said before. Because as a kid, all I wanted to do was be an adult. And then we got into adulthood. I was like, oh, well, hang on a minute. It's not what it's all comes up to be. You know, you're getting old when you're happy when you've got a decent sofa. You know, yeah.
Well, Kyle, thank you so much. You've been a brilliant guest, and I'd love for you to come back on in about 6 months' time so we can see how further along the journey you are.
100%.
And like I said, everyone, if you want to reach out, please click the links below. Thank you so much for joining us.
Perfect. Thank you very much for your time, and thanks for having me on.